Okay, in this video I'm going to talk about what's called function notation. Now you remember from a previous video we talked about what is a function, and we said to understand a function you have to think of a couple of things. You have to think of, I actually like to call them function machines. So think of a bunch of inputs, which we're going to call x, that need to go through some kind of a function machine, okay? And out comes out of the other end, I should say, comes the y, or the output, right? So that's how you should think of a function, just to begin with in general. And again, remember we called these x's inputs, and we said the x's are also, another name for the x's are the domain. All right. So a member of the domain goes into the function machine, and out comes the output, or the y, or a member of the range. And we said that the function itself, okay, is usually some kind of an equation. All right, so we'll call this the function, and it's usually, again, some kind of an equation. All right. So if my equation is something like, again, let's just take 2x plus 1, that's my function, and I'm going to produce an output, y, and I'm going to put in an input, x. Okay? The way you represent this is by saying f of x, and this is function notation now. This does not mean f times x. All right, let me just write that down. Does not mean f times x. Okay? The way you should read this is that there is an input x that needs to go into the function that will produce an output y. Okay? And that's how they that's how they write the input. So the way you would write this as an equation would be f of x, and that's how you would read that, f of x, or sometimes they will say the f at x, that's another way of saying that. Or a third way of saying that is the value of f at x. Okay, those are all three different ways of actually saying the same thing. Okay, is equal to whatever the function is. So 2x, like let's say, in this particular function, we'll just say 2x plus 1. Okay? So that's how you write it. Right? F of x is equal to 2x plus 1. Now notice that that's fairly similar to write in an equation like this. Y is equal to 2x plus 1, right? And you'll remember that that's called the slope-intercept form of a linear equation. So that's just another way of writing the same thing as this particular equation, which is f of x is equal to 2x plus 1. So I want you to think of f of x and y as basically the same thing. F of x is equal to y. And since we know that functions produce ordered pairs, right, an x and a y, so if I were to put, for example, let's use this particular function here, and I'll say the function of 3 is equal to 2x plus 1. What that means is that this input is the x, and I'm going to put it in wherever I see x into the function. So I would rewrite this like this, and then I would rewrite that as 6 plus 1, and I would rewrite that as 7. So I could say that f of 3 is equal to 7 for this particular function. And the x and the y here would be the x is 3, the y is 7, or the ordered pair 3, 7. Okay? I hope that was helpful to you.